Here is the hotel where North Korean leader Kim Jong-un should be taking off. We do not see the stern bodyguard that was directly staring at the camera just now, Jung-hee.
We are just seeing some of the vehicles. Well, according to the schedule, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and U.S. President Donald Trump were to arrive at Sofitel Legend Metropole at 6:15, which is only 2 minutes away from now, but it seems Kim is still not leaving from his hotel. And we heard that U.S. President Donald Trump is already on his way to the Metropole Hotel. So for Trump, from a JW Marriott Hotel where U.S. President Donald Trump is staying, okay, we're seeing some police cars coming along with some motorcycles.
This could be the motorcade to escort the North Korean leader to the venue.
Yes.
That's a huge turnout.
That is
Regular citizens and reporters alike.
Everywhere that North Korean leader was heading to, for example, the North Korean embassy in Hanoi, we could see a lot of Vietnamese citizens gathering up just to catch at least, one scene of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un walking, getting out of the car, waving at people. It seems like they have high expectations for the summit as well as very high attention on the North Korean leader himself.
Well, in Singapore, he was quite a celebrity, just taking casual strolls and even selfies with regular citizens there.
It was an unexpected, stop. It was an unexpected visit that he would make to the Marina Bay Sands with some of the top Singaporean officials, and taking selfies, looking at the nightscape of Singapore. Directly looking into the economic development that Singapore was able to achieve as a hub nation in Southeast Asia.
Well, it was a rainy day when he arrived, and it seems
it's President Trump.
Trump has arrived at the Metropole.
Yes, some vehicles with American flags are making their way to a certain spot, and we think it'll be President Trump arriving at Sofitel Legend Metropole for his one-on-one conversation with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, as well as the social dinner.
And dinner with a very sophisticated menu that's supposed to be kept extra simple, according to the leaders of both sides. The car, I believe, is something unique on the American side. It's got a nickname called the Beast, I believe, according to some reports. It's certainly getting a lot of attention, and I'm sure a lot of car companies lobby to make sure they have the chance to be a part of the summit, as for the North Korean leader as well.
Yeah, last year even North Korean newspapers reported that President Trump showed off his car to Kim Jong-un.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, the young leader Kim Jong-un is interested in a lot of the latest snazzy products that's being produced from outside of North Korea, looking to keep up with the rest of the world someday soon. Of course, that would mean they will have to open up a little bit to the rest of the world and start an economic reform. And here is the North Korean leader's motorcade arriving.
No, those are vehicles with the American flag, so I think that's still the picture of the American delegation arriving at the Metropole. We're still not
such a short distance between the event venue and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's quarters, but it's taking extra longer for him to be seen.
His hotel.
Right.
But it only takes like 5 minutes for Kim to arrive at the dinner venue, so could be leaving quite soon.
For both of these enigmatic leaders, Dr. Hu, they do tend to make power statements in some unusual ways. It could be part of that to be casually late for this event as well.
So it was especially the case, and so last year at G20, when President Trump was waiting for President Moon Jae-in, many newspapers reported that it was very rare case for President Trump to wait for someone. So so making someone to wait for him is another way of showing his power or his status. But from the last year that they follow that choreographed move by each side. So I think that they are trying to be on time this time.
Okay, they are trying, but it's not working out for some reason.
Well, what I saw, what I read about was that for the case of the Singapore summit, I heard that we're able to learn who is a guest and who is serving the guest by where the leaders are standing. So, for example, at the Singapore summit, it was North Korean leader Kim Jong-un standing on the left, and then U.S. President Donald Trump standing on the right.
And we would like to apologize to our viewers for the quality of the footage we have at this point. That this is what we have at this point. We will try to provide you some extra detailed descriptions of what's going on as the hour progresses.
So at the Singapore summit, I heard that it was U.S. President Donald Trump who served North Korean leader Kim Jong-un as the guest. And I'm wondering what will happen about that at the Hanoi summit today.
Judging by the way the title and the names and the flags are arranged, it could be the other way around this time.
It could be the other way around. But, you know, looking at how Kim Jong-un is being late.
Speaking of North Korean leader's special ties to Vietnam, his grandfather has a unique bond with the founder or the leader of Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh.
So, founder of North Korea, Kim Il-sung, he visited Vietnam in 1958 and 1964. So, at that time, Kim Il-sung also used train in part of his journey to Vietnam. And at the same time that while he's traveling to Vietnam, he met Mao Zedong twice. So there was a speculation that Kim Jong-un wants to emulate his grandfather's journey to Vietnam this time. And there's also another speculation that Kim Jong-un might be meeting President Xi Jinping on his way back to Pyongyang. But the problem for that kind of scenario is that China is going to have the biggest political conference in from March 3rd and March 4th. So,
in fact, we're seeing some interesting developments there with the bodyguards stepping out of their vehicles.
Yes, it seems like a lot of vehicles actually arrived at a certain place and people looking like North Korean guards just got out of the car. They're running around. It seems like North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is on his way to, and we're seeing North Korean and American flags lined up. It seems like they're going to stand for a photo op quite soon.
It was interesting how Donald Trump's usual signature handshake did not shake up North Korean leader Kim Jong-un the first time they met. It seemed like they stood their ground and they did not exert too much pressure to portray some kind of a power move back then, a more amicable first contact back then.
Kim Jong-un, obviously being so much younger than President Trump, he still didn't want to lose, and he still, was on his ground. He kept his pride as a leader of a regime.
And hopefully Donald Trump is learning the ropes as he moves along to not really aggressively shake hands and do it for a prolonged period of time. This is an exciting moment for the people of Vietnam, as well as, of course, those of us watching from Korea and the United States as well. There are growing expectations as to what could come out of this summit. Partly, Professor Wu, because the first one was a rather disappointment, and I understand you got into a bit of a trouble by calling it not such a successful one after the summit ended.
So last year, many observers expected that there's going to be a big deal, which means that North Korea is going to fully denuclearize, and the U.S. and the international community is going to provide the lifting of those sanctions and some economic aid to North Korea. So that kind of a one-shot deal is going to make a huge difference in the Korean Peninsula and the region. However, it ended up with some kind of abstract agreement between two leaders on the bilateral relations and the perpetual peace on the Korean Peninsula, and the denuclearization and the repatriation of the remains of the U.S. soldiers. So one of the expectations from there was that two countries are going to have a working level negotiation from July, but we have to wait it for like 8 months until we saw this kind of working level negotiations with the summit in February this year. So last year's summit was meaningful in that actually decreased the tensions on the Korean Peninsula, and North Korea, as President Trump reiterated that North Korea has not tested any nuclear or missile tests since then. So it's just still meaningful, but whether it has been there's any kind of like expedition for the denuclearization of North Korea, we have some doubt. So that is why we have a bigger hope this time that they are going to produce some kind of meaningful result with regard to the denuclearization of North Korea.
So yeah, that remains to be seen if that's going to be touched upon between the leaders at their one-on-one brief conversation, as well as the social dinner they're going to have for an hour and a half. So right now on screen, we're seeing some American and North Korean flags lined up for a possible photo op of the leaders of Pyongyang and Washington. So according to the schedule that we have, well, right now it's 6:24.
It's a 10-minute delay.
Right. Things are getting behind the schedule.
After that, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had a meeting with his staff in Vietnam, which was very rare case because even last year that North Korean newspapers reported after Kim Jong-un has left, but the North Korean TV this time was actually gave some kind of live feed that North Korean leader is taking train to Vietnam for the second summit with the President Trump. And this morning, that North Korea's newspaper Nodong Sinmun reported that Kim Jong-un visited North Korean embassy in Hanoi, and he had debriefing from his staff about the negotiations so far. So I think his style is certainly different from his father and his grandfather.
Right. Media access is one way of gauging how different North Korea has become since opening up a little bit under the leadership of Kim Jong-un. Jong-hee, during the first summit, or rather the third summit between the two leaders of the two Koreas, there was considerable exposure and willingness to open up to the outside media.
That is true. I mean, not just the summit, but there were a lot of schedules beyond the summit meeting itself. Like, for example, President Moon and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un decided to have dinner at a North Korean local restaurant, which was even open to Pyongyang citizens. So that was the moment when South Korean President Moon Jae-in was exposed to the North Korean public, but at the same time, Kim Jong-un not just staying at home, but decided to come out with the South Korean president and enjoy the dinner together. So that was one moment, and another moment was, of course, South Korean President Moon and the North Korean leader going to the Mount Baekdusan together. They, singing along, they spending time together at the top of the mountain. Those kinds of moments were the scenes that we could see that North Korean leader is indeed willing to open up himself and actually increase his own exposure to the world, and portray himself as one of the normal leaders of so many countries, not just being a one-of-a-kind leader of a reclusive regime. So definitely, we saw North Korean leader move to different places. For example, yesterday he took a special train, arrived at Dongdang Station. He was greeted by the top Vietnamese officials. He went to the North Korean embassy. And a lot of Vietnamese citizens actually came out to the streets to capture the moments. So he is definitely increasing his exposure. And I believe that more of that we will be able to see, not just today and tomorrow, but also on Friday and Saturday as well, as Kim Jong-un will be, staying in Vietnam for 2 more days.
Right, and we are going to see the leaders finally making contact.
So the leaders of North Korea and the U.S. coming in to exchange greetings for a photo op, meeting for the first time since June 12, 2018.
A much softer handshake and immediate exchange of pleasantries and smiles, always a good sign.
Intimate smiles on their face.
But it seems like the Kim Jong-un's face is more tense than last year.
Right.
He has more smile than last year, but he shows some kind of tenseness.
Trump is speaking.
Have you walked back at all on denuclearization in North Korea? No. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. President, is it declare an end of the Korean War, sir? We'll see. We'll be seeing. Thank you. Thank you all very much. You're coming back.
So it looks like President Trump is not trying to give out much details on his one-on-one conversation and social dinner with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. We weren't able to hear the questions, but I could hear what Trump said. He said no, and he said we'll see. So definitely we could read that he was not willing to speak much about the upcoming schedules.
Which is an unusual side of Trump that we're seeing, because usually he takes to Twitter almost immediately whenever he has thoughts, and he's very candid when it comes to speaking with reporters.
There was like this story that to be nominated for the Nobel Prize.
Sorry.
That still remain from the very
Coming
from
from
Hanoi, from the outside. But however, we have been able to overcome all those obstacles, and here we are today after 261 days.
굉장히 생각해 보면 좀 어느 때보다도 많은 그 고민과 노력.
I think we had to think a lot about this, and a lot of efforts were needed.
I believe that those 261 days were the days during which a lot of painstaking efforts were necessary, and also a lot of patience were needed.
But as I see you today, and I hope that we can make fruitful achievements that many people are awaiting for, and I will strive my best.
And that gives us a hope that we will be successful this time, and I would really try to make that happen.
Thank you very much. That's really nice. Well, I want to just say it's an honor to be with Chairman Kim. It's an honor to be together in really a country, Vietnam, where they've really rolled out the red carpet, and they're very honored to have us. And it's great to be with you. We had a very successful first summit. I felt it was very successful. And some people would like to see it go quicker. I'm satisfied, you're satisfied. We want to be happy with what we're doing. But I thought the first summit was a great success, and I think this one hopefully will be equal or greater than the first. And we made a lot of progress, and I think the biggest progress was our relationship is really a good one.
대단히 감사합니다. 김정은 위원장님 다시 만나게 되어서 영광입니다. 그리고 또 오늘 같이 하게 되어서 또 매우 기쁩니다. 우리가 베트남에서 만났습니다. 베트남이 아주 우리를 굉장히 환영을 하고 레드카펫을 깐 것처럼 그렇게 환영하고 있습니다. 우리는 첫 번째 그 정상회담을 굉장히 성공적으로 마쳤습니다. 어떤 사람들은 우리의 어떤 진전이 더 빨리 갔으면 하고 그렇게 원하는 사람도 있지만 내가 보기에는 우리가 상당히 잘하고 있고 또 첫 번째 그 정상회담이 굉장히 성공적이었습니다. 이번 회담도 첫 번째 것과 같은 성공 또는 아니면 더 성공하기를 바라고 있습니다. 그리고 우리는 아마 이번에 더 많은 진전을 이룰 것 같습니다.
And as I've said many times, and I say it to the press, I say it to anybody that wants to listen, I think that your country has tremendous economic potential, unbelievable, unlimited. And I think that you will have a tremendous future with your country, a great leader. And I look forward to watching it happen and helping it to happen. And we will help it to happen.
우리 그 여러 번 제가 얘기를 했고 또 언론들한테도 제가 여러 번 했습니다만은 저는 조선이 엄청난 경제적인 잠재력을 가지고 있다라고 그렇게 생각합니다. 그리고 앞으로 큰 성공을 이룰 거로 생각합니다. 위대한 지도자 밑에서 아주 잘할 거로 생각합니다. 그리고 앞으로 그러한 성공을 저는 그래서 보게 되기를 기대하고 있습니다.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate it. And we're going to go have dinner. And then we have some big meetings scheduled for tomorrow. And we'll see you, I guess, at a news conference at some point during the day. Thank you very much.
Good time. You are. I hope one of the great photographers of the world.
Leader and a translator.
Make us look very good. One of the great photographers.
Well, we had a meeting for about 20 minutes before coming here. It was about 30 minutes, I guess. And for that time, our conversation was very interesting.
About 30 minutes.
Boy, if you could have heard that dialogue, what you would pay for that dialogue, that was good. So we're going to have a very busy day tomorrow, and
we'll probably have a pretty quick dinner, and a lot of things are going to be solved, I hope, and I think it'll lead to really a wonderful situation long term. And our relationship is a very special relationship.
오늘 그 만찬을 한 다음에 또 내일은 하루 종일 또 아주 진지하게 회담을 할 예정입니다. 우리는 굉장히 좋은 관계를 가지고 있고 아마 성공적인 회담으로 생각이 될 것입니다.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Well, it's looking like a very lighter atmosphere compared to when they first sat down and the lights suddenly went off for some unexpected special event that we did not get a closer look at. Chung-hee?
Much lighter, and of course, much lighter when they first exchanged their greetings before the press. The two leaders actually seemed very tense, very rigid, but now it seems like they're relaxed, ready to have dinner, ready to have a good dinner. They're smiling, intimate smiles. So just to give our viewers a recap, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says that he had a almost 30-minute long conversation with his counterpart, with his U.S. counterpart, and he said the conversation was, quote, very interesting. And the U.S. President Donald Trump says a lot of things will be solved tonight, if I heard that correctly. And he said he hopes that what happens tonight will lead to some wonderful situations and some great results to come after the summit tomorrow. So there I was able to spot the two leaders plus their translators, as well as the two top aides from Pyongyang and Washington, the foreign minister and the head of the United Front Department from the North Korean side, as well as the Mick Mulvaney, the acting chief of staff from the White House, and the State Secretary Mike Pompeo.
Right, it's quite a change in tone from President Donald Trump. Initially, before the summit, he tried to lower expectations, saying, we'll see, and this is just one of many more summits to come. How do you read the change in attitude from President Donald Trump, saying there's going to be something incredible tomorrow?
So from last year's experience, that President Trump always said something big, that he's going to achieve something nice, and he always mentioned that his relationship with the chairman Kim Jong-un is the key to make an achievement this time. So we don't know yet what is going on between two countries in terms of the negotiations so far. However, President Trump mentioned that there is all false reportings so far with regard to what can be achieved this time in Hanoi. So I think he's again attacking the media for the false reporting for him, and then I think that he's going to say he made a successful summit this time, regardless what kind of outcome that he's going to have this time. So what kind of criteria that we are going to have is the key to evaluate the summit this time. But for President Trump, any progress from the last year's summit would be evaluated as a success this time.
A very low bar.
Yes.
And we talked a little bit about setting up a liaison office for the two sides. For the two Koreas, it's not that difficult because it's just over the border, or they can set something on the border. But for the U.S., of course, this is going to be, it could be a tedious process, right?
So it's not going to be an easy job for the two governments to set up the liaison office in the capital of each country. However, there was an agreement between the U.S. and North Korea in the past that they would exchange the liaison office. So since there's a template from the past that it's not going to be that difficult. However, when U.S. government promised to have a liaison office in the past, that North Korea promised to dismantle Yongbyon, and they actually promised that they are going to remove all the existing nuclear weapons and materials and going back to NPT and going back under the IAEA.